Jaw droppers, yeah!
Well, congratulations. You are now the proud owner of one of the most clever and ingenious magical props ever conceived, and that is the folding coin, which you're probably looking at right now with some delight, because it's certainly an interesting and unusual piece of apparatus. The beauty of the magic that you can do with this, of course, depends on the fact that this is as ordinary an object. Everybody has one of these, or hopefully many of these in their pocket, and they use them every day, and of course no one's ever seen one fold in half like this one, and of course that allows you to do some great magic. Now, before we get into showing you some great tricks with this, I'm going to give you a little rundown on the care and feeding and maintenance of your folding quarter, because it's very important that this is all set up correctly in order to do the great tricks that we've got in store for you on the rest of this tape. So let's get right into it. Of course, the major hidden element that you can't see as I hold this and spring the coin back is a piece of rubber band, or what looks to be a piece of rubber band. Actually, it's a little ring of latex rubber cut from some surgical tubing. Now, I'm going to show you that right down here on the table. Put my glasses on because this is some fine work here. This is actually latex rubber tubing. Can be gotten at a medical supply store, sometimes called surgical tubing. But it is in fact pure latex, so it makes it very good for its springy characteristics and making the coin fold. And actually this is 1/8 inch inside diameter tubing. The outside diameter is 3/16 inch, which allows the two walls on either side to be 1/32 inch. Just give you all those specs, so if you're out buying surgical tubing, you can get the right size. I like to cut off about an inch section so it's easy to deal with, and then get yourself a very sharp razor knife. Now, this one costs about $1.50 at the hardware store, or you can use a single edge razor blade. Put your tubing there on a very hard platform. You don't want to do this on wood or anything that might be porous or soft, because you're going to be pushing this razor blade right down hard on the surface, and you want a good resistance to it. So a very flat, hard surface. You lay the latex tubing down like that, and you want to cut a very narrow section of tubing. Ultimately, you want to have that little rubber band about the thickness of the coin, maybe even a little smaller. You'll have to experiment with that, but just take a look at what I'm doing here. Now, I'm not going to saw this. I just put it right there at the thickness I want and then push right straight down. That's why you want a hard surface, because you're pushing against that, and then you'll notice it just kind of separates itself. And you can roll this bit of tube and that helps separate it. And you get a very nice, evenly distributed weight of rubber on all sides of the circumference of that rubber band. Here, I'll cut a couple more. And this makes for a very good elastic for this purpose. There we go. I'm pushing down hard, and it just kind of separates there. And these little, if it doesn't, just catch just like that. There you go. Of course, if you don't have a medical supply handy to you, you can get more of this from our website, www.jawdroppers.com. We'll set you up with some more of that. Well, now that you have some elastic bands cut, I'm going to show you the tricky part, and that is threading it around the circumference of the coin. And this is just something that takes a little doing and a little practice, and you'll get the knack of it. Let's look back down here on the table. What I like to do is start with the smaller section of the coin. You'll notice they're not the same size. Take one of the rubber bands and stretch it out enough to get it so it can catch underneath the very corner of the groove in the tip of that coin. And once you've done that, take the pin and start to thread it. You just got to move it in your hands as you pull the rubber band around the edge of the coin, and sure enough, with a little dexterity and a little luck, you'll have it stretched around the outside of the smaller part and looking like a bow on a bow and arrow there. And now you take the other side. Now, I must caution you, this is something you'll learn after making a mistake. You want to make sure the head of the coin is facing the same direction, so you don't end up with half a coin heads out and half a coin tails out. If I look a little funny, I've got both pairs of glasses on, you might have noticed. Let's look back down here now at the coin. Okay, now what you're going to do is take the larger part of the coin and put it right next to the end and catch the rubber band and get that rubber band into the groove of the larger part like that, and start working it around. And as you do, you can see how the coin is now got the rubber band all the way around its perimeter. And believe me, that's just something you're going to have to try a few times. It's the best way I found to do it, using a pin, or you can use of course, a pin or a needle, or you can take a paper clip. Make sure you get a nice smooth one, though. You don't want to roughen the rubber band. The inside edge you want nice and smooth. So use that, and then you're all set to go. Now you want to make sure the tension on the coin is even all the way around. One way I found that helps us out is spread it open a little bit and catch the edge of the rubber band like this and work the pin up and just kind of work it all the way around like this. And that kind of evens the tension so you don't have one edge of the coin that's really tight and the other edge that's loose. There you go. You're all set now to do some tricks. One little point that I'd like to caution you about is frequent changing of this rubber band. If you know you're going to use the coin one evening, you're going out to entertain some friends, you're going to go to a restaurant, you're going to go to a nightclub, make sure you put a new rubber band on. Every time you use this coin and entertain with it, have a brand new fresh rubber band, because the oils in your fingers, some of the material in the coin itself, the metal, all change the composition of the latex rubber and weakens it and causes it to perform less than optimum. So make sure that you change the rubber band constantly. All right, that said, one other little caution before we get into the tricks is every time a rubber band comes off, make sure that the groove around the coin is clean. Sometimes little bits of rubber band or dirt will get in there, so you can take a razor blade or a very thin knife and with the back of the razor blade, just run it through and scrape the inside. I won't do it now because I have a rubber band in there, but just scrape the inside to make sure you got a nice clean channel before you put the rubber band in there. And then you should be all set to go. So let's show you some tricks with the folding coin. Here's one of the most basic tricks you can do with the folding coin. By basic, I don't mean it isn't a fooler, because a New York magician has recently made quite a reputation biting a chunk out of a coin. I'll show you how it works. Let's take this quarter and just take off a nosh. Now, if you're real clever, you can just bring it back up and go blow it right back into place. Well, the secret to this is simply in the cleverness in which you double back the coin as you feed it into your mouth. I like to just take the coin and hit the bottom of my teeth as I go in, and that causes the teeth to lever the coin over, and then you hold it with your thumb as it folds back. So it's all done kind of under the guise of biting off the coin. Watch. It just looks like you bit it. And of course your thumb is holding back the little lip of the coin there and releases it at the time you blow. So one more time, here we go. Tastes like mint. Back again. How would you like to see something, Tiffany?
I'd love to.
Have you got a quarter I can borrow? I'll show you a trick.
Do.
We're also going to use my empty beer bottle here.
Okay.
Of course, I had to empty it, you know,
of
to make this trick work. Would you hold that upside down like that on the table? Great. I'm going to take your coin. Now, you don't know if it's heads or tails when you flip a coin, right?
Right.
All right. You also don't know if it's going to be heads or tails if I place it on the bottom of this bottle underneath my handkerchief, do you? So we're going to find out whether destiny says heads or tails for you, because I'm going to let you guess. Do you think I'd place that there on the head side up or the tail side up?
I'm going to say heads.
All right. Watch where the coin is, right underneath the pocket handkerchief. We'll see what happens.
Oh my gosh, it's moving.
Looks like it's moving. Whoa!
I heard it.
Now you said what, heads?
I said heads.
I think that coin just flipped itself over, and it is now tails up, and apparently Destiny did not want you to win that time.
Wow.
Thanks for your quarter.
Thank you.
I should have flipped you for it. Well, this is a fun trick because any trick that involves objects moving by themselves always adds a real air of mystery about it. And of course, you're using the natural motive powers of a rubber band to cause the coin to flip. So you need, of course, an empty bottle. This can also be done with a glass. Just flip it upside down. The great thing about a bottle is most beer bottles have an indented bottom to them, which allows for the extra thickness of the coin that you actually place folded upon itself in that area. So when you stretch the napkin or pocket handkerchief, it looks nice and flat. So let's show you how we get into this. Of course, in the presentation as I performed it, I used a move which is well explained on 2 of your tapes, a move called the Ultimate Utility Move. Now, if you use this move, it allows you to take this trick a little further, in fact, by borrowing a quarter, which makes the trick even stronger. Now, if you're not sitting down when you present this, of course, you can't do the Ultimate Utility Move, and that's fine. Just do it standing up. Don't borrow a quarter, and you can use your folding quarter instead just from the start. So in this case, though, I have the option of doing that. I have a napkin in my lap, which I always do when I do the Ultimate Utility Move, to catch the borrowed coin as it goes off the edge of the table. I have the folding coin against the fingers of my hand, held there with my thumb, and I'm ready to go. You can use a men's pocket handkerchief, or if you're in a restaurant, you can also use a regular dinner napkin. So have one in your lap and borrow somebody else's at the table, and you're ready to start. So you have a glass or a beer bottle here, and you say, hey, I'd like to show you a trick. Tiffany, can I borrow a quarter?
Yeah.
Great. So you borrow someone's quarter, have them throw it on the table. Just say, throw it here on the table. And at that point, that gives you time to show the glass or the beer bottle and say, would you hold that like that? Mm-hmm. And what I'd like to do is take your quarter, and that's when you do the Ultimate Utility Move, which is the switch now for the borrowed quarter for the folding quarter. You explain about heads or tails, the destiny story, and of course you don't want them to see that it's heads or tails, so you're going to cover it up. And at that point you simply bring the napkin over the top, masking it from their view, and simply double the coin up over itself, holding it down. I'm now underneath this handkerchief. I'm now holding it down with my finger like that until I get it into place. So cover it over like this. And then, once it's covered over, I actually now push it down here from the outside, and as I stretch this tight, that holds it into place. It looks fairly flat right there. Of course, this should be a fairly opaque napkin or pocket handkerchief, so you can't see through it and see that the coin is folded back upon itself. Now it's simply a matter of the presentation. Say, what do you think it is, heads or tails? And they give you an answer, and then at that point, you simply call attention, say, watch where the coin is, right underneath there. And then slowly just kind of relax your grip on the pocket handkerchief or napkin and let it creep up. I'm actually pushing up a little bit, allowing it to have some slack to flip over, because you want to hear that little noise too. And that makes it look like the thing just flipped over. And of course you don't know now if it's flipped over heads or tails. That's why it's kind of neat to say, what did you say? You said heads. Let's find out. At this point now I drop my hand into my lap, giving me the time to say, now you said heads or tails, huh? You said heads, didn't you? So now I've already got the coin here, and say, well, let's find out what Destiny said. And then you pull this off and immediately point to it and say, oh, look, it is heads. And I drop it off like that onto the table before they have a chance to grab it, and say, wow, looks like Destiny didn't want you to be right. And I'll do the switch again and drop it in front of them, and of course all is examinable. You've switched out the folding coin for the real one, and you're very, very clever. Here's a trick with 2 quarters and 2 quarters only. Tiffany, would you verify that?
Yes.
No extras there?
No extras.
Okay, the object is to make something magical happen. I'll take them both and place them in this hand, right here at the tips of the fingers. Let's see if we can't make one of them penetrate right through the back of my hand. Watch. Once, twice, boom. Right through the back of my hand, and no extras. Well, this is a fun little trick and not too difficult to do. Works with only 2 coins, 1 regular coin and 1 folding coin. I've got the folding coin here in my right hand, and I'm holding it so that the small section of the coin, the folding part of the coin, is at the top. My finger's right there, and what actually happens is I just bend it over like this as I bring the 2 coins together. I'll show you the handling on that now. This one is held like so at the tips of these fingers, and as you bring them together to supposedly transfer this coin to this hand with the other coin, I simply bring them at about 90-degree angles and push this coin right into my fingers down here. Watch again, here I go. So it just gets hidden behind the fingers as it drops into the closed fingers right here. Meanwhile, that coin allows you to fold this coin, the folding coin, right over on top of itself. So I'm actually just holding like so with 2 fingers, covering the edges so you can't see it. And it looks like 2 coins stacked on top of themselves. And then I point to these and say, watch these 2 coins. And then I bring the other hand that's holding the coin into play, hold this right above, and go 1, 2. And as I bring it down on the 3rd time, I simply open my fingers. Allows the coin to spring open. Looks quite magical. Watch. It looks like 2 now. 1, 2, Bingo. And at the same time, open my hand, drop the coin. Looks like it penetrated right through. Here's another nice finish you can do. Rather than penetrating a coin through your hand, you can cause one to jump from one place to another. So after you've done the phony move there, supposedly putting both coins in this hand, you can say, watch, I'm going to make one of those coins, and then close your fist on it, jump from here over to here, and then just make a little magical move like that. Show the coin over here, show the folding coin over here, and it looks like one has jumped into